Jesus fuck.
Shivs, I need your help.
And I need a new roof.
I'll fix the lunch and take you out to roof later. What's the fastest way for me to lose over 100 hours of my life? Socializing's overrated.
You're lucky I keep this in my pocket in case someone crashes through my roof asking to waste their life away. Here.
Thanks, you're the best.
No problem. Hey, what about my roof?
Terraria is a great way for me to preserve my virginity. Terraria is an action-adventure sandbox game developed by Relogic, first released on Windows on May 16th, 2011, but has had releases on a whole load of platforms. Terraria received somewhat regular updates until its final update, Journey's End, a whole 9 years after Terraria's release. Well, since I'm looking to waste my life away on a game, let's jump right into Terraria. Before playing the game, you have to make a character, so of course, I bring Steve into existence. Alright, fresh world. Terraria is a build and craft sandbox game similar to titles like Minecraft or Starbound. You chop trees, get wood, fight monsters, go mining for ores, and make yourself a cozy little house before looking at it and going, yeah, this doesn't look as good as I thought it would. Terraria is entirely in 2D, and the world is filled with different biomes, treasure chests, and new things to discover. Just traveling left and right can bring you to the jungle, the desert, or one of two evil biomes. The evil biome is determined upon world creation, and you can choose which evil biome will be present in your world, or leave it up to chance. If you don't know these places well, and think, ooh, what's this purple place, then what's immediately apparent is that Terraria is deep. Real deep. There's tons of weapon and armor types, blocks, items that do many things, enemies, bosses, NPCs, and more. Because Terraria is kinda complicated, the game gives you a guide. I am sure nothing bad will happen to you later. While the guide is incredibly helpful for a new player, giving you basic tips and telling you how to attract certain NPCs, as well as telling you what can be crafted out of a specific item, he doesn't tell you everything, like, where can I get this item, or what do I even do? That's why you have to rely on your new best friend, the Terraria Wiki. When it's something the guide can't tell you, prepare to open a new tab every time you find something new. There's over 5,000 items and over 500 enemies and critters. Well, I got a house now. I think I'm doing pretty good. Maybe not. This game can be tough as you start out, since you're armorless and your weapons are weak, but as you progress and get stronger weapons, you'll laugh as you mow down these now meaningless enemies that once troubled you. Yeah, fuck you, vultures. While Terraria is a sandbox game, it is more focused on the combat and character building compared to other titles of the genre. Terraria features many weapons, multiple weapon classes, accessories that can be equipped for beneficial effects, and many bosses to fight. This gives Terraria a lot more replayability, since even if you've beaten the game once, you could try again with a whole new class and get a different experience. In a way, Terraria has elements of a Metroidvania and an RPG, where you'll be exploring, constantly unlocking upgrades to get to new areas, backtracking through older areas to find new content, and face harder and harder enemies as the game progresses. The big difference between Terraria and a Metroidvania title is that Terraria generates a random world every time, whereas Metroidvania titles are all preset in terms of the map. The RPG comes in with the character building. The character building in Terraria is amazing, both for gameplay purposes and cosmetic purposes. Not only do you have total control of how your character looks at the beginning, there's so many cosmetics that you can equip into your vanity slots which won't impact the armor or accessories you're wearing. Not only that, but there are many dyes that allow you to change the color of your equipped items, and some dyes even have special effects. This can allow you to create either a badass character or something incredibly stupid. Personally, I went with Steve, the Chef of Oblivion. He'll season your corpse and serve it hot with a sprig of parsley. Of course, there's the multiple weapon classes as well. You can either go with the tanky and powerful but short-range melee class, the ranged class with massive damage output but terrible crowd control, the magic class which is the glass cannon that has the flashiest weapons but requires you to use mana, then there's the summoner class which people don't really talk about but is honestly really fun. Why fight when you could have minions do that for you? Since I went with magic the last how many playthroughs I've done, I went with ranged this time, because hey, guns are cool. There's tons of accessories that range from combat-focused ones that either benefit a specific class or are very general. The movement-based accessories can give you double jump, super fast running, or even wings later into the game. There's accessories for better survivability, ones that tell you information on the screen like the time, number of enemies nearby, and what treasures are around you, ones that help you with building, or a step stool. Finally, 6 foot tall. Because of Terraria's emphasis on combat compared to other sandbox titles, there's bound to be lots of enemies to fight, ranging from the smallest slime to the biggest monsters. Terraria has a lot of bosses to fight, which get harder as you progress, of course. They start off small, like, oh, hello there, big slime, to, okay, to, oh no, not again, to, what the fuck? And the what the fuck train will keep going until the very end. Hell spawns. You're fighting a bunch of hell spawns. I really like the way Terraria's progression is set up. At the start, you have 100 HP and only a few copper tools to start you off, so the main thing you'll be doing at the very early part of the game is mining. Going spelunking can reward you with treasures, ores, and life crystals, which are used to increase your maximum HP. When you're all geared up, and if you're playing a mage, you've increased your maximum mana with mana crystals crafted from fallen stars, you'll probably be ready to fight a boss. Defeating a boss can reward you with items that will let you progress, such as the Eater of Worlds or Brain of Cthulhu dropping the materials to create a strong pickaxe that allows you to mine Hellstone, which is found in the Gacha Life fandom, more commonly known as the Underworld. Then the entire game goes crazy once you face the Wall of Flesh, and once it's defeated, welcome to Hard Mode! Suddenly, a new biome, the Hallow, enters the world by converting part of your world into it, and a new strip of the evil biome appears as well. Good fucking luck. The Hallow is merciless when you first get into it, and new harder enemies will start spawning in every biome. What's more is that the evil biome and the Hallow will start spreading to nearby blocks. The Wall of Flesh is guaranteed to drop a Pwn Hammer, which in its tooltip says it's strong enough to break demon altars, which were previously indestructible and punished you for trying. Breaking demon altars grants your world 3 new ores, stronger than the ones you previously found. With new everything available, you'll be facing tougher bosses and getting better weapons. It's hard mode where Terraria's combat is most fun. Weapons will start to do more than just what they're supposed to be and will look a lot cooler, such as laser firing swords, miniguns, and piss. This is why magic is the best class. Hard mode basically requires you to pick a class to stick with, since a majority of armor sets now have multiple helmet options, and each one changes the set bonus, which usually only benefits one class, and enemies are tough enough that running a mixed set is very difficult. Hard mode is tons of fun, but managing the spreading evils in Hallow is kind of annoying, but just like me trying to stop the biomes from spreading, I'll get to it later. As you progress and meet certain requirements, NPCs will move in. You start off with just the guide, but after having the proper housing, also known as a chair and a table in a shoebox, as well as meeting the requirements for a specific NPC, they will move in. You have to have increased your maximum health for the nurse, have ammo for the arms dealer, have some money for the merchant, free the goblin tinkerer from a cave, build an entire artificial biome with at least 100 mushroom grass blocks on the surface for the truffle. Seriously man, why the fuck can't you just live in a shoebox like the rest of them? NPCs will sell you items or services in exchange for coins, which you can get from killing enemies, treasure chests, or selling items to NPCs. There's an NPC happiness system where, depending on what biome the NPCs are living in and who they're living with, they will either be happier or unhappier, and you'll get discounts or price raises that way. The game absolutely tries to get you to build multiple bases by making NPCs charge more if they're living with too many people they don't like, or in a biome they don't like. And while some people will still just build a giant tower and shove everyone in there, I find that the benefits of discounts to be extremely helpful, especially with the arms dealer and goblin tinkerer. If NPCs are happy enough, they'll sell pylons which allow you to teleport between towns, so that removes most of the walking between NPC towns, and even acts as a means of fast travel to specific locations like the dungeon if you build your town near them. There is so much to do in Terraria. There's random events like a blood moon where monsters spawn in massive hordes, and random invasions of goblins, pirates, aliens, monsters from classic 20th century horror films, and gangster snowmen. My personal favorites from the invasions are the Old One's Army, a crossover with Dungeon Defenders 2 that plays like a tower defense, and the Pumpkin and Frost Moon for just how chaotic they are. There are a ton of block types. Hell, most furniture comes in like 30 different varieties, and along with being able to use a hammer to alter blocks to look like slopes or half blocks, being able to paint blocks in different colors, and just the sheer amount of variety in blocks and decorations, you've got yourself great tools to make great builds. Or just a shoebox, it's up to you. There are so many accessories, vanity and armor sets. There's even mounts you can ride like a UFO, a turtle, a creepy ass bunny, a tree. This thing is the fastest land-based mount in the game. A tree. There are both cosmetic pets and functional pets that provide light that can follow you. For most of my adventure, I had this little shadow mimic follow me. His name is Chester, and he's my little sous chef. There's so many weapons and items, from incredibly awesome to incredibly stupid. You can summon rainbow crystals, shoot things down with a dolphin, swing yo-yos around, rain arrows from the sky, have a Stardust Guardian minion to fight enemies for you, throw vampiric knives that heal the player when hitting an enemy. Those last two could be used together to resemble something I can't quite put my finger on. There's a ruler? Yeah, you better be scared. I complimented Terraria's combat system earlier, but a big standout of the combat is the bosses. Despite being a game of the sandbox genre, which usually leaves things more open-ended, Terraria has a pretty set path on what you have to do, and there's an order on what bosses to fight with very little deviation. Your progress is gated by the bosses, and this is especially the case with hard mode. Bosses start off pretty simple, with King Slime, Eye of Cthulhu, and Eater of Worlds being essentially Big Slime, Big Eyeball, and Big Worm, but the hard mode bosses are much more interesting and fun. There's upgraded mechanical versions of some previous bosses, a big plant, a pig, fish, dragon thing, what? A crazy plague doctor, pure disappointment. There's a lot to fight, and their attack patterns are a lot more complex than just an eyeball that runs into you, or a worm that does exactly what a worm does. Massive shoutouts to what is clearly the best boss fight, the Empress of Light. The Empress of Light is absolutely an incredibly fun boss. Her attacks are based on bullet hell games, and the attacks look very good, and the rainbow colors may make me go blind, but they're pretty, right? I love the pure satisfaction of dodging her attacks, and just how fast-paced the fight is. I personally like fighting the Empress of Light during the daytime, where all of her attacks are instant kills. It sure does make it a hell of a lot harder, even more satisfying to beat her, and if all the damage you deal to her is during the day, she drops the strongest summoning weapon in the game. Man, I never knew I could be rewarded for torturing myself. Even her drops are awesome. The weapons she drops are directly based on the attacks she uses in her fight, and are all animated incredibly well, feel satisfying to use, and are definitely very powerful. Terraria is too easy, said the masochist, and that's why Expert Mode exists. Expert Mode gives enemies twice as much health and makes them do twice as much damage. Bosses have new attacks and you drop more coins on death if you play on softcore, but enemies also drop more loot and their rare drops are more common. The most important new feature with Expert Mode is that bosses drop exclusive accessories that are very useful, and the Hive Pack and Gravity Globe exist. Their most useful features are that you can sell them. The Expert Mode drops are well worth it, with the Worm Scarf reducing all damage by 17% being the highlight, with other notable items being the Shrimpy Truffle Mount, the Spore Sack, the Demon Heart, and the Shield of Cthulhu giving you a dash attack with Invincible Startup. What is this, Smash? It's well worth it to play on Expert Mode since the drops are great and the added challenge is also fun, since bosses are more difficult, which means extra satisfaction from defeating them. Expert Mode is too easy, said literally no one ever, and that's why Master Mode exists. Do you fucking hate yourself? Do you want to die over and over? Well, Master Mode is here. Think Expert Mode, but a slime will kill you in 2 hits. Even harder enemies, even harder bosses, even more unforgiving game, and the only bonus to help you is that you have 1 additional accessory slot. The Master Mode exclusive drops are mostly cosmetic, with pets, light pets, and a couple of mounts, which are based on the bosses that drop them, and are honestly the best pets and mounts in the game, simply because I love pets and weapons based on enemies, and they're really cute. There's also relics, which are golden statues of bosses. I mean, no one would be crazy enough to collect them all, right? Who am I kidding? I love collecting. One thing that makes Terraria so great and a lot more fun to play through is just how many quality of life features there are that cut out the tedious parts of the game so you can get back to the fun. You can immediately return to your spawn point with easily obtainable recall potions or the reusable magic mirror. You can automatically sort your inventory by the item types, lock certain items to a place in your inventory, and the most important one, you can quick stack items to chests, which means that it will move any item in your inventory into a chest if a nearby chest already has that item type. My god, along with being able to automatically sort chests, this makes organizing your storage so much easier. I don't know if this counts as a quality of life feature, but you can join different worlds with the same character, allowing you to grab items from other worlds like extra wood, or items from the Otherworld evil that didn't generate without having to grow your own. That's how I got Steve's outfit, since my world generated with corruption, and the outfit needed vertebra to craft, which is Crimson exclusive. Terraria is a game that is all sprite art, and any game that does sprite art well is always very pleasing to the eyes. Terraria's use of colors is something that I really like that isn't brought up that much, from the nice shade that's used for wood, the pretty green of the forest, the grays of stone, the neon blue of the glowing mushrooms biome, the faded purple of the corruption. It all looks really nice. I'm pretty surprised that for a pixel-based game with a simpler art style, Terraria is still very pretty, especially during events like Lantern Nights, which happen after bosses are defeated, or when you're just admiring a very nice build. Terraria's OST is filled with amazing chiptune tracks. The music that plays really fits the areas you're in or the events that are happening, like the Adventurous Day theme when you first start the game, the psychedelic music in the glowing mushrooms biome, the foreboding, echoing track in the Underworld, the dungeon music with rattling noises with all the skeletons down there, the loud thunderstorm music, the almost magical sounding Hallow music, and the Corruption's kinda spooky but also kinda funky music are a few examples. I'll play a couple of my favorite tracks here, but I'll have to limit myself because I don't want this video to be longer than the entirety of The Lord of the Rings. I give Terraria a full 10 out of 10. Terraria is a delightful experience that's fast-paced enough for me to not get bored within a few hours, but not too fast that you have to rush through content. Terraria is great for a long single-player experience or a multiplayer experience. You can connect to other players easily through Steam without having to buy a subscription or set up a server. Multiplayer is especially fun with the chaos between players and the teamwork to defeat bosses, though the health of the bosses scales with the amount of players in the world, so there's still a good challenge. For those who prefer a more casual experience or haven't had much exposure to gaming, Journey Mode is a good place to go. It's essentially the game's creative mode with standard features like invincibility and infinite items, but unlike standard creative modes, you have to collect a certain amount of a specific item and research it before you can duplicate it. I'm mixed on Journey Mode. On one hand, I like not worrying about enemies messing with me while I'm building, and stopping the spread of the evil and Hallow biomes is very convenient, but on the other hand, it's kind of annoying for those who already play the game but want to play Journey Mode to have to redo everything they've already done just to play on creative. Journey Mode characters also can't enter a regular world and vice versa, most likely to prevent cheating. This means you can't turn on or off Journey Mode, which kinda bugged me at first, since my original character I mostly used to build things couldn't be switched to Journey Mode, and I'm not too keen on using external software to modify my character. If you get bored of the main game, Terraria has a very active modding scene as well as official mod support. Mods like Calamity and Thorium are the most popular examples of great mods that add a lot of content to Terraria. Terraria's customization is one of its best features, with you being able to play how you want your character to, and customize how your character looks with great amounts of control. The sheer amount of content in Terraria means you won't get bored. There's a lot you can do, especially when it comes to the main game and collecting. I personally enjoyed collecting every music box. They all look different to represent the music being played, and also look incredibly satisfying displayed together. Terraria's progression is also done very well. There's a balance between new content and the next roadblock that keeps Terraria well-paced and fresh. Terraria is my favorite sandbox game, Minecraft is second, don't worry. But no game is perfect, and I'm here to tell you all about it. There are a few grinding sessions that take far longer than others, being the early game spelunking sessions and the grind for life fruits in hard mode. Past that, Terraria's progression is almost perfect. The way that hard mode evil and hollow biomes spread is not fun at all, and the only thing I genuinely dislike about Terraria. They spread and there is absolutely no way to stop it. You can only contain it. How? Well, you could dig out trenches from the surface to the underworld to contain the biomes, or protect individual bases with barriers of non-corruptible blocks. It can be an incredibly tedious process to protect bases or dig out these elevators, but other than that, Terraria is one of the best sandbox experiences available, and will continue to stand as a timeless masterpiece in gaming.
Well, I finally got that roof fixed.
That's great! Well, since you're free, you wanna play Terraria multiplayer?
Hell yeah, I do. What?
You got room for one more?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, Terraria party!